Hey, what's up YouTube? In this video, I'll be showing you how to make a gas statue. I know guys, I've been putting this off for far too long. If you want to make it, here's what you're going to need. You don't need very many colours whatsoever. Grab yourself some black wool, some dark grey, some light grey, and finally grab yourself some white wool. And once you have each one of those four colours right there, and once you've figured out where you want to make it, I'm going to be making it right here, you're going to want to first of all determine something before we actually make this gas statue. So, as you guys know, ghasts are airborne, they float, they fly around. Our statue is no different. I'm going to be making my gas statue 20 blocks high off of the ground. That's where the bottom of the ghast's body is going to begin, 20 blocks off the ground. You can go less than that, but when you start approaching the 15 mark, that's when tentacles start melding with the ground, and any less than 15, like as soon as you get to 10 and 5, then tentacles become stubbier and stubbier, and it's not really a good look. Trust me, the bigger the tentacles, the better. So I would suggest making your ghast at the very least 20 blocks off the ground. You can go higher than that, 30, 40, 50, 200, 300, completely up to you. However, I would have it at the very least 20 off the ground. I will say though, the higher and higher you make it, the more and more it starts looking like a hot air balloon. Once you've determined how high you want it to be, take out any other colour than white and do a row that is as high as you want your ghast to be. So I'm going to do a row of 20 black wool. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Once you have your row marking out how high your ghast's going to be, do a single white wool on top of that row. Then go to the right of that single white wool by 15, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, to give you a row of 16 white wool. 1 plus 15, 16. That is the first row of the face of our ghast. Once you have your row of 16 white wool, we can now begin. So on top of your row of 16, just stack another row of 16 white wool directly on top of it. That is row number 2 of our ghast's face. For the next row, place a single light grey on the ends of the row, and then just place white wool everywhere else in between that light grey. For the next row, place 4 dark grey in the 4 centre spots of the row, just like that. Just eyeball it, I'm sure you guys will be fine. Once you've placed the 4 dark grey, just make the entire rest of the row white wool. For the next row, do 2 light grey coming in from each end of the row, and then just fill the entire rest of your row in with white. For the next row, starting from the left hand side, do 4 white wool, 1, 2, 3, 4, then 1 light grey, then proceed to make the entire rest of the row white wool. For the next row, on the left hand side, start by coming in by 3 with your light grey, 1, 2, 3. Then come all the way over to the right hand side and do the same thing. Come in to the left by 3 with your light grey, so that's 1, 2, 3. Then continue by doing 1 white wool, then 1 light grey, then make the entire rest of your row white wool. For the next row, starting from the left hand side, do 4 white wool, 1, 2, 3, 4, then do 1 light grey, then make the entire rest of the row white wool. For the next row, as I just adjust my plans guys, for the next row starting from the left hand side, do 4 white wool, 1, 2, 3, 4, then do 1 light grey, then 6 white wool, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, then do 1 light grey, then make the entire rest of the row white wool. For the next row, starting from the left hand side again, do 4 white wool, 1, 2, 3, 4, then 2 light grey, 4 white wool, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2 light grey, then make the entire rest of the row white wool. And for the next row, starting from the left hand side, do 2 white wool, 1 light grey, 4 dark grey, 2 white wool, 4 dark grey, 1 light grey, 2 white wool. For the next 2 rows, do 2 solid rows of white wool. So just throw 2 whole rows of white directly on top of that previous row. So you just want to have this. Once you've done your 2 solid rows of white, for the next row, starting from the left hand side, do 3 white wool, 1, 2, 3, then 2 light grey, then 6 white, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, then 2 light grey, then 3 white wool. For the next row, starting from the left hand side again, do 5 white wool, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then 1 light grey, then 4 white wool, 1 light grey, then make the entire rest of the row white wool. For the final row of the face of our ghast, just do an entire row of white wool, and like I said, that is the final row of the face of our ghast. So once you've got that taken care of, my god, he looks miserable. You have 100% fully completed the ghast's face. Once you've done that, we can now move on to the rest of the ghast's body, which is its head. Kinda weird. Alright. Moving on, let me just adjust my plans, guys. Let me make sure that everything's correct. We want to get this right the first time, don't we? We don't want to have to mess about with this. So, once you've reached this point right here, this is what you want to do next. So, come all the way to the side of your ghast and come all the way down to the bottom of your ghast. Going left of this first white wool that we placed, do a row of 15. So, going towards the back of the ghast, a row of 15. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Then take a sideways view to the row of 15 that you just did and go left of this row of 15, well, by 15. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. And what you've essentially just made there is just the back of our ghast's body, which is its head. Again, that's freaking me out. Alright guys, so this is how it's going to work. We're now going to build up the entire back of our ghast, then the sides, then the top, then the bottom, then we're done. The way that we're going to be building up the back of the ghast is ever so slightly different to how we would usually work. Usually, we build things horizontally, left to right to left. For the back of the ghast, we're going to be building things vertically, up and down. Let's get started. So, starting from the left-hand side of the back of our ghast on top of this most left white block, you want to do this sequence of blocks coming directly up. Do 4 white wool, 1, 2, 3, 4. Then do 1 light grey. Then do 5 white wool, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then do 1 light grey. Then do 4 white wool, 1, 2, 3, 4. That is the first row of the back of our ghast set. Once you've got that taken care of, we can move on to the next row. So starting from the top of the next row, just coming down to the right of this left row, you want to do this sequence of blocks. Do 1 white wool, then do 1 light grey, and then you can pretty much just copy the row directly to the left for the next of the row. There's no reason to explain it whatsoever. The only difference between that second row and that first row is that first single light grey that we have at the top. For the next row, place a single light grey at the bottom of the row, then come all the way up to the top of the row, and coming down, do 1 white wool, then 1 light grey, then make the rest of the row white wool. Just like that. For the next row, starting from the bottom of the row, do 1 light grey, 1 white wool, 1 light grey, 1 white wool, then make the entire rest of the row light grey wool. For the next 2 rows, do 2 solid rows of white wool, so that's 1 and 2. For the next row, starting from the bottom this time, do 1 white wool, then make the entire rest of the row light grey wool. Then make the entire next 2 rows completely white wool, so that's 1 and 2. Just do 2 solid rows of white wool, like that. For the next row, starting from the bottom, do 1 white wool, 3 light grey, 1 white wool, 1 light grey, 1 white wool, then make the entire rest of the row light grey. For the next 2 rows, do 2 solid rows of white wool, so that's 1 and 2. For the next row, starting from the bottom, do 2 white wool, 1, 2, then do 1 light grey, 1 white, then make the entire rest of the row light grey wool. For the next row, starting from the top, do 2 white wool, 1 light grey, then make the entire rest of the row white wool. For the next row, starting from the bottom to begin with, do 1 white, then 1 light grey, then come all the way up to the top of the row and do 2 white, 1 light grey, 2 white, 1 light grey, then make the entire rest of the row white wool. Now for the final row of the back, starting from the bottom, do 1 white, 1 light grey, 3 white, 1 light grey, 3 white, 1 light grey, then make the entire rest of the row white wool to give you the entire back of our Ghast's head, slash body, slash this is still creeping me out. So once you've got the entire back of your Ghast fully completed, we can now move on to both of these sides. So come to this side of your Ghast to start us off. Oh, and by the way guys, we're now going back to going from left to right or right to left with our Ghast building. Just thought I'd let you know. So for the second row of the side of your Ghast, starting from the left hand side, you want to do this. Do 2 light grey, then make the entire rest of the row white wool. For the next row, starting from the right hand side, do 2 light grey, then make the entire rest of the row white wool. For the next row, starting from the left hand side, do 3 white wool, 1, 2, 3, then 2 light grey, 3 white wool, 3 light grey, then make the entire rest of the row white wool. For the next row, starting from the left hand side, do 5 white wool, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then do 3 light grey, then make the entire rest of the row white wool, except for this right end block here, just make that light grey. For the next row, starting from the left hand side again, do 2 light grey, then do 8 white wool, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, then do 2 light grey, then do 2 white wool. For the next row, starting from the right hand side, do 4 white wool, 1, 2, 3, 4, then do 2 light grey, then make the entire rest of the row white wool. For the next row, starting from the right hand side again, do 1 white wool, then 2 light grey, then 3 white wool, 1 light grey, then make the entire rest of the row white wool. For the next row, starting from the left hand side, do 1 white wool, 2 light grey, 1 white wool, 2 light grey, 4 white wool, 1 light grey, then 3 white wool. For the next row, starting from the right hand side, and this wants to be for 2 rows guys, do 4 white wool, 1, 2, 3, 4, then 1 light grey, then make the entire rest of the row white wool. And like I said, you want to have this for 2 rows, so for the next row just copy exactly what you did for the previous, like that. For the next row, starting from the left hand side, do 2 white wool, then 2 light grey, then make the entire rest of the row white wool. For the next 2 rows, do 2 solid rows of white wool, so that will be the first, and then that will be the second. For the next row, starting from the left hand side, do 2 light grey, then do an entire row of white wool. And for the final row of this side of your Ghast, just do an entire row of white wool to give you something which should look exactly like this. This is what you want to have for this side of your statue. Pretty simple, I suppose, nothing too difficult, it's just a lot of repetition. Once you've reached this point right here, we now want to go all the way over to the opposite side of our ghast. And guess what, guys? This bit is actually slightly easier. So on this side of our ghast, all we have to do to complete this side is look directly forward at what we did for the opposite side of our ghast and just copy exactly what we did on that side of our statue, and there is nothing more to it. Just literally copy exactly what you did on that side of your statue and just apply it to this side of your ghast. There's really nothing else for me to say. Just look directly at what you've already done, and you really should not run into too much trouble, is what I was trying to say, if I could actually use words like a normal person. So I'm literally just looking all the way over at the opposite side of my statue, and I'm very mindlessly just copying exactly what I have on that opposite side. There's nothing to it, trust me. Just look directly at what you have on that side and just copy it. You probably shouldn't run into too many problems. I don't think you will anyway. I mean, just look directly at what's over there and you should have it done in no time. So I'm just going to, as quickly as possible, just finish up this side of the ghast. This really shouldn't take too much longer. We've just got the final row to do now, and there we go. That is the final row of this side, and as you guys can see, this side of the statue is 100% the same as the previous side. Shouldn't be too surprised considering the fact that, of course, we've just copied off the previous side. You guys really shouldn't have too much trouble doing this. If for some reason you do have trouble doing this, and I'm not sure why you would, I mean, I've just used the method myself. I've just literally been looking at the opposite side of my ghast statue and I've just been copying it block for block, just looking at what I've been doing. If for some reason you have trouble, seriously, just take it slow and you might have to count blocks or something, but I don't think you will. Like I said, I've just used the method myself and I'm sure you won't have any issues. So once you've completed both sides of your ghast, we now have the fun of doing the top of our ghast's head. So come all the way up to the top of your ghast statue and come all the way to the back of your ghast statue. You're looking for this light grey wall that we have for like the first row of the top of the back of the head here. Once you've located this light grey, take out your light grey and do a row of 7 light grey starting from this block coming towards the front of the head like this. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Like that, coming towards the front of the head. Then go right of the 7th block by 1. Then go down by 2, 1, 2. And by down, I mean towards you, towards the front of the head. Then go right by 2, 1, 2. Then from this middle block, this first block that we just placed going right, come down towards the front of the head by 4. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. To give you this shape right here. Once you've formed this shape, you now want to move towards the back of the head again, and starting from this light grey this time, just do a row of light grey to connect you back to where we were just building, to give you this shape, a really messed up Y looking shape. Once you've done that, move all the way to the back of the head again. Now starting from this light grey, do a row of 10 light grey coming towards the front of the head. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Then go to the right by 2, 1, 2. Then starting from this first block that we were going to the right with, come down by 3. So that's 1, 2, 3 towards the front of the head. Now, coming up from this, you know what, we'll start from the other side, it'll be easier. So once you've formed this shape right here, this really weird looking T shape, come all the way to the back of the head again, and starting from this light grey block, this most right light grey block, do 7 light grey coming towards the front of the head. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Then go left by 1. Then connect this left block all the way to what we were just making, and what you want to end up with is this shape that we have exactly here. Pretty simple. Once you've got that taken care of, all you have to do now to just fully complete the top of our ghast's head is just fill the entire thing in with light grey, and there's really not too much more to it, so I'm just going to finish filling in the top of the head here, and then we can move on to the final stage, which is the bottom of our Ghast, and that's where we've got to do the entire bottom of our Ghast, including the tentacles, and the tentacles are just no fun whatsoever, so I'm just going to continue filling in the top of our Ghast's head, and then we can move on there. We can move on to Fun Town. It's not going to be fun, it's going to be awful, trust me. Actually, the tentacles aren't so difficult. The tentacles are actually quite easy. Once you've done one tentacle, you've actually done them all. All of the tentacles are identical to each other, which rhymes. Nonsensical. So this is what you want to have for the top of your Ghast's head. I'm not entirely sure what that pattern is supposed to be, but hey, I don't need to be questioning Mojang. So that is what you want to have for the top of your Ghast's head. Once you've completed that for yourself, you now want to come all the way down to the bottom of your Ghast. All the way down here. So this is what you want to start off by doing once you get to the bottom of your Ghast. So you first of all want to add an extra layer of white wool, just kind of like going all the way around the inside of the bottom of your Ghast. So you just kind of want to like reinforce the square shape that you have at the bottom of your Ghast. Fairly simple, right? So let's just finish doing that. There we go. Easy enough. Once you've added in that extra layer of white wool, you now want to take out your light grey, and you kind of want to do like 3 light grey inside of each one of the 4 corners of the bottom of your Ghast. So you just want to have something which should look a little bit like this. Kind of weird looking up. There we go, I've got the camera. The camera's hard to use for me. Once you've done that in each one of the 4 corners with your light grey, you then want to take out your dark grey, and you kind of just want to connect each one of those light greys together. So basically, again, we're just kind of doing a square shape, I suppose, if you really think about it. Just connect all of those light greys together, like that. Once you've done that, you can now fill this entire bottom empty square section in with black wool, and that's all you have to do. That's fairly simple. The bottom of the statue, or at least the very bottom of the statue, excluding the tentacles, is really easy. Not too hard whatsoever, so just going to continue filling this in, and then the fun begins. So let's just continue doing that, and once you've filled in that entire section in with black, you should be left with something that should look exactly like this. And that is what you want to have for the bottom of your Ghast, except we're not done, are we? Unfortunately not. Once you've reached this part right here, it's now time for us to do the tentacles. So we're first of all going to figure out where all of them go, and then we're going to build them up. So this is the front of your Ghast. This is where you want to be. Starting from this black block that we have that's kind of like in the front left-hand corner of our Ghast, this black block right here, just place 2 white wool, kind of just like going right just below these 2 black wool, if you guys can see what I'm talking about. Once you've placed those 2 white wool, you want to then go right of this most right white wool, and you want to leave a gap of 2. Then place 2 more white, like this. So leave a gap of 2, then place 2 more white. Then do the exact same thing just one more time. So going right of this now second white wool, just do another 2 white wool just right of that second set of white wool. So you want to have 3 sets of 2 like this, just placed in those positions. Once you've placed those, you then just want to place 2 more white wool directly behind those first 2 sets of 3 initial 2 white wool, like that. So you just want to have 2 by 2 squares just on the front of your Ghast. Once you've got those placed, we can now move on to the back set of tentacles. Those are the, they're the bases or the tops, I suppose. Yeah, I guess they're the bases of the 3 tentacles that are at the front of our Ghast. We're now doing the bases of the 4 back tentacles. There's 4 of them at the back. So starting from this white wool that we have right here, can you guys see what I'm talking about? We're now on the back left-hand corner of our Ghast, if you guys can see where we are. Starting from this white wool that is just left of this corner light grey block, just do 2 white wool, just in those positions. Then we pretty much want to follow the exact same pattern that we did at the front of our Ghast. So going right of the second white wool, leave a gap of 2, then place 2 white. Then a gap of 2, place 2 white, gap of 2, place 2 white, like this. And I'm just going to do these and then show them you because I think it's fairly simple and I think I'm trying to over-explain for some reason. So this is what you want to have for the back set of 4 tentacles, and like I said, we're just doing the bases first, which is those 2x2 squares of white, and then we'll just build all of them up. So that is what you want for the bases of the back 4 tentacles. Now, there are no more tentacles. I used to have a set in the middle, but I didn't feel as though they contributed anything. You could add another set in the middle after you've added all of these tentacles if you want, but that's completely up to you. I just like a set of 7 on my Ghast. Now it's time for us to actually build up the tentacles themselves, which are actually quite simple. Huh. Oh wow, that was weird. I think I lost my breath or something. I apologise for that, but it's staying in the video. Time for us to build up the tentacles, so come to the front of your Ghast again, and starting with this left white wall, the first white wall that we place, coming down from this white wall, do this sequence of blocks. Do 2 white wall, 1, 2, then do 1 light grey, then do 2 white wall, 1, 2, then do 1 light grey, then 1 white wall, then 3 light grey, 1, 2, 3. Just like that, and that is what you want to have for the left row. Now for the right row, coming down from this right white wall, do 1 white wall, then 3 light grey, then 2 white wall, 1 light grey, 1 white wall, 2 light grey, and that is what you want to have for the tentacle. Very simple. Moving on to the next one. The next one is identical to the one that we just made, however I'll go through it with you again, just because. This left block coming down, you want to do 2 white wall, 1, whoops, that's light grey isn't it? 2 white wall, 1, 2, then 1 light grey, then 2 white wall, 1 light grey, 1 white wall, then 3 light grey. Now for the right row, starting from this second white wall block, coming down, do 1 white wall, 3 light grey, 2 white wall, 1 light grey, 1 white wall, 2 light grey. Like this. That's the second tentacle. Moving on to the third, the last time that I'm going to be going through this with you guys. So for this third tentacle, coming down from this left block, do 2 white wall, 1 light grey, 2 white wall, 1 light grey, 1 white wall, 2 light grey. 3 light grey, not 2. My apologies. For the next row, coming down from this second white wall, do 1 white wall, 3 light grey, 2 white wall, 1 light grey, 1 white wall, 2 light grey. There you go, that's where I messed up, guys. I paused for a second back there when we finished the first row on the left because I thought something went wrong, but I just got the rows mixed up, that's all. But the entire point is that the first 3 tentacles are entirely identical to each other. There is nothing different about them whatsoever. Once you've got those taken care of, we now just have to come to the backs of the tentacles. Good news, guys. Backs of the tentacles are identical to the fronts of the tentacles. As a matter of fact, everything about tentacles are identical. And that's all there is to it. So come to the backs of the tentacles and pretty much just copy block for block the front of the tentacles directly onto the back, and that's it. There's nothing more. That's all you have to do. There's no difficulty about this whatsoever. The tentacles are really easy. The most difficult part is just getting the first few initial ones done and getting them placed in the right place. Once you've done that, everything else is simple. So alright guys, so once you've got those first 3 front tentacles taken care of, we can now move on to the back 4 tentacles. Guess what guys, I've got really good news for you. The back tentacles are identicals to the front tentacles. I love rhyming. All you have to do to complete these back tentacles is quite literally look at the front tentacles and just copy them block for block. There really is little more to do than that. Just look directly forward at what you did for the front tentacles and just make them identicals. Again, I'm rhyming. I couldn't be happier. So that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm just copying these just block for block. My TV's trying to shut itself down. That's just... I'm so stupid. In an effort to stop my TV powering down, I hit the off button. I shut it down myself. It's been a long day, guys. Here's a little secret for you. This is the 3rd tutorial that I'm recording of the day. I think it's starting to drive me slightly crazy. Let's continue anyway. Let's move along. So, moving along with these tentacles now that I can see again, now that I haven't been blinded by my own stupidity, we can continue on. Won't that be nice? It will. It will. Who said it wouldn't? You? Ah, you're probably right. So we've just got the final one to do here, or at least the front of the final one, the fourth one. Then we've just got to copy the fronts onto the backs, and then we're pretty much done. So those are the fronts of the back 4 tentacles. All we have to do now is just copy exactly what we've just done there directly onto the back of what we've just made, and then we'll be done with the tentacles, luckily. Really don't like doing these. I don't know why, to be honest with you. Whilst they are really easy, there's nothing difficult about them. I just don't like building these. I've built quite a few Ghasts at this point in time, guys. I've actually built somewhere around the 5 mark. In a world somewhere, I actually have a herd of Ghasts. I'm not entirely sure why. I'm going to be honest with you. I just don't know why I have a herd of Ghasts. I do. All right, I have a herd of Ghasts. There's nothing too weird about that, is there? And there you go. Those are the back 4 tentacles of the Ghast, completely done, completely identical. Slip that in again. There we go. And once you've got the front 3 legs and the back 4 legs fully completed, you have actually 100% fully completed your Ghast statue. There's no more to it. Let me get rid of this black marker row, and then we can marvel at what we've done. So let me just get rid of this. There's a hole in the floor. That's unacceptable. I'm sorry. No. I'm never gonna come to this world again. But for some reason, I just can't have a hole in the floor. So once you've fully completed those tentacles, that is your Ghast statue 100% fully completed. So let's take a look at him, shall we? Look at him, looking all dark and gloomy. He looks absolutely miserable. He shouldn't look too miserable. In my survival series, he keeps killing me. Do you know how many times I've been destroyed by Ghasts in this game? I think I've been destroyed by Ghasts far more than any other mob, and more importantly, far more times than I've killed myself. I think I've been killed by a Ghast. I still love the statue, but I do hold a little bit of contempt for Ghasts themselves. It's a cool looking statue. It's kind of a long one to make. I didn't realise how long this has actually taken. I think this has taken, at the very least, roughly half an hour, which is, you know, a little more than standard for some of these mob statues, but hey, he's kind of big. He is big. He's like 16 by 16, and most of the sides are, you know, all individual, and there's quite a bit of detail, and then the tentacles themselves, pretty crazy. Cool looking statue. No wonder you guys have been asking for him for so long. Thanks for watching, guys. Hopefully you have managed to make him for yourself. Hopefully it wasn't too much trouble. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.